The team at Noah's Ark's scans says this is the final resting place of Noah's Ark.
Jones says he has fresh evidence, working with a local professor to look beneath the surface after several teams scanned the site with ground-penetrating radar. We're standing right above where these images were taken.
Deep in the rugged mountains of eastern Turkey, a discovery has sent shockwaves through the scientific community. For decades, researchers dismissed it as nothing more than a geological oddity. But recent findings have forced them to reconsider everything they thought they knew about ancient history.
Researchers in Turkey now claim they found indisputable evidence that the story of Noah's Ark was not a cautionary tale about the consequences of forsaking God, but a verifiable historical event.
In 2021, a team of archaeologists ventured into the remote highlands near Mount Ararat. What they unearthed beneath the Earth's surface defied all logical explanation. Advanced ground-penetrating radar revealed structures that shouldn't exist. Soil samples showed chemical signatures that left experts speechless. Carbon dating pointed to a timeline that aligned disturbingly well with one of humanity's oldest stories. The measurements were precise, 538 feet long, matching ancient records with unnerving accuracy. Inside, they found compartments, chambers, and organic residue that told a story of something massive, something deliberately constructed. Scientists who spent years studying the site now speak in hushed tones about what they've witnessed. Could this be the remnants of Noah's Ark, or is something else entirely buried beneath these mountains? The evidence is mounting, and the implications are staggering. Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind one of archaeology's most controversial discoveries, the discovery that started everything. The Darupanar site sits in one of the harshest places on Earth. Snow-covered peaks surround it. Volcanic rock stretches for miles. Few people venture this far into eastern Turkey's mountains, just 18 miles south of Mount Ararat. But this isolation is exactly why the formation remained untouched for so long. When Turkish Army Captain İlhan Darupanar flew over this region in 1959, something caught his eye.
Until he spots something strange.
He's flying over basically the middle of nowhere when he sees a startling and unusual formation amongst the rocks below, which of course, he photographs.
From the air, a clear, boat-shaped outline pressed into the mountainside. Not random, not natural, too perfect. He reported it immediately. Turkish authorities arrived with cameras and measuring tools. News crews followed. The world watched as photographs spread across newspapers. A formation measuring 515 feet long, the exact length described in ancient texts, 300 Egyptian royal cubits. For the next 2 decades, explorers came and left. Some believed, most doubted. In 1960, the Archaeological Research Foundation spent 2 days digging. They found rocks and mud. Their conclusion, just nature playing tricks. The site was abandoned, forgotten. Then Ron Wyatt arrived in 1977, an amateur archaeologist who refused to give up on the possibility. He brought basic radar equipment. His scans showed something unusual beneath the surface, patterns that looked organized, structured, but his methods were questioned. Critics called his work unscientific. The debate continued, with no clear answers. The breakthrough came in 2019. A new research team arrived with technology that didn't exist in previous decades.
Researchers say they have 3D images of what they believe is the Ark in the Ararat Mountains in Turkey. Well, the man who was instrumental in these discoveries is a Tennessean.
Ground-penetrating radar systems that could see through solid rock. 3D imaging software that could map underground structures. Soil analysis equipment is sensitive enough to detect chemical traces from thousands of years ago. This time, they weren't guessing, they were measuring, and what they measured changed everything. The team included Turkish researchers from Agri İbrahim Seysen University and Istanbul Technical University, working alongside American scientists from Andrews University. Professor Faruk Kaya led the Turkish side. Andrew Jones coordinated the American team. Together, they designed a careful, methodical study, not to prove the Ark existed, but to understand what this formation really was. Their first scans revealed parallel lines underground, straight lines, perfect right angles. Natural geology doesn't work that way. Rocks fold and twist, they crack randomly. They don't form hallways. They don't create rooms with corners. Yet the radar was showing exactly that, chambers, sections. a central passage running 234 feet through the formation's core. The team expanded its work. More radar passes, different angles. Electrical resistivity tests measure how materials conduct electricity. Wood and rock conduct differently. The results kept pointing toward the same conclusion. Something artificial lay buried here. Something built by human hands. The chemical evidence hidden in soil. William Crabtree has spent his career studying soil. He knows what a normal Earth should contain. When his team collected samples from 22 different locations around the Darupanar site in September 2024, he expected normal readings. What he got instead made him question everything he thought he understood about this place. Samples from outside the formation showed typical levels. Organic matter at baseline, potassium within expected ranges. But samples taken from inside the boat-shaped structure told a completely different story. The organic matter was nearly 3 times higher, not slightly elevated, not marginally different, 3 times. That kind of difference doesn't happen naturally in geology. Potassium levels showed similar spikes. Inside the formation, 40% higher than the surrounding soil. Crabtree knew what this meant. When wood rots over centuries, it releases potassium into the ground. The process creates a chemical fingerprint that lasts millennia. Trees don't grow in boat-shaped patterns. Forest decay doesn't concentrate in precise formations. But a massive wooden structure, buried and slowly decomposing, would leave exactly this signature. The pH levels added another layer of evidence. Soil inside the formation was more acidic than outside. Organic decomposition releases acids. Decaying wood, in particular, lowers soil pH over time. The measurements matched what you'd expect if thousands of tons of timber had rotted in this exact location. Jones explained to Fox News Digital what they'd found. The rotting ancient wood inside the boat-shaped area is likely creating a localized soil microenvironment by lowering pH, increasing organic matter, and elevating potassium. Each element reinforced the others. The chemical traces weren't random, they fit a pattern. The pattern of a large wooden vessel is preserved in ancient mud. Critics argued the readings could have other explanations. Perhaps ancient forests once covered this area. Maybe natural deposits created the chemical anomalies. But Crabtree countered, the soil composition is markedly different from the natural mud flow, indicating something extraordinary at this site. Natural processes don't concentrate organic matter in boat-shaped formations. They don't follow geometric boundaries. They spread randomly. The team found more. Clay materials are mixed into the soil. Marine sediments. Even traces of seafood remain, including mollusk shells. These discoveries suggested flooding. Catastrophic flooding.
According to the book of Genesis, the flood lasted for 40 days and 40 nights. Eventually, as the waters receded back into the earth, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat.
The kind that would bury a vessel in layers of mud and volcanic debris. The kind that would preserve organic material under pressure and sediment for thousands of years. Carbon dating of the samples produced dates ranging from 3,500 to 5,000 years ago. This timeline aligned disturbingly well with historical flood narratives found across multiple ancient cultures. Not just biblical accounts, but Mesopotamian records, including the Epic of Gilgamesh. Stories separated by geography but united by a common theme, a great deluge that reshaped the world. The evidence continued mounting. Every test, every sample, every scan, all pointing toward the same impossible conclusion. Something enormous had been built here. Something wooden, something that had rotted in place over millennia, leaving behind chemical whispers in the soil. What ground-penetrating radar revealed? The operators of the 3D radar equipment didn't know about Noah's Ark theories when they arrived at the Darupanar site. They'd been hired to run scans for a television documentary. Professional technicians from Topa 3D, an Oregon-based company. They expected to scan a rock formation and move on to their next job. What appeared on their screens stopped them cold. The radar uses electromagnetic pulses that penetrate the ground and bounce back differently depending on what they hit. Rock has one signature, soil has another. Empty spaces create distinct echoes. Man-made structures show patterns that nature can't replicate. The operators watched as their equipment painted a picture of something beneath the Darupanar formation that looked nothing like natural geology. First, they detected a central corridor, long, straight, running 234 feet through the formation's length. perfectly aligned. Natural stone doesn't form tunnels with clean edges. Lava tubes twist and turn. Cave systems branch randomly. But this corridor ran true, like something designed with purpose. Then the side chambers appeared. Angular spaces branching off the central passage. The scans showed right angles, 90-degree corners, parallel walls. These features extended down 20 feet below the surface, multiple levels. 3 distinct layers are stacked vertically, matching biblical descriptions of the Ark having lower, second, and third decks. One of the radar operators told journalists they'd never seen anything like it. Natural formations create chaotic patterns on scans, random voids, irregular shapes. But these readings showed organization, planning, the kind of structure you'd expect from architecture, not geology. Jones reanalyzed the 2019 radar data using advanced imaging software in 2023. The enhanced processing revealed even more detail. What initially looked like vague underground shadows resolved into clearly defined spaces, rooms, corridors, a stairway-like structure connecting different levels. The symmetry was undeniable. The formation appeared to have been designed around a central axis, with chambers distributed evenly on both sides. The electrical resistivity tests confirmed what radar suggested. These tests send electrical currents through the ground and measure resistance. Different materials resist electricity differently. Wood conducts poorly compared to rock. The scans showed areas of high resistance throughout the formation's interior, exactly where you'd expect wooden structural elements to have once existed. The team detected something else unusual. The formation's hull extended more than 40 feet beneath the visible surface. Massive ribs arched underground, spaced at regular intervals. Like the internal frame of a ship, these ribs measured wider at the bottom and narrower at the top, following the shape of a vessel designed for stability in water. Breaking down the formation's structure, researchers identified potential sections that would have served different purposes: storage areas, living quarters, ventilation shafts. The layout suggested not just a boat, but a boat designed to house multiple species for an extended period. Compartmentalized, organized, functional. The radar even picked up areas where the structure appeared damaged, sections that looked collapsed or shifted, as if the vessel had come to rest with significant force, breaking on impact and settling into the mountain slope. One area showed evidence of the hull cracking against a large rock outcropping, consistent with a ship running aground. Critics insisted the patterns could be natural rock layers, folded sediment, compressed volcanic debris. But Jones countered, natural geology doesn't typically create structures like this. The presence of hallways and room-like structures points to a man-made origin for the boat shape. The evidence was circumstantial, yes, but it was also consistent, detailed, and increasingly difficult to explain away. The measurements that match ancient records, numbers don't lie. And the numbers at Darupanar tell a story that's hard to ignore. Genesis 6:15 describes Noah's Ark with specific dimensions: 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, 30 cubits high. For centuries, scholars debated which cubit measurement the text referenced. Different cultures used different cubits. The standard Hebrew cubit measured about 18 inches. The Egyptian royal cubit measured 20.62 inches. The difference matters. If you calculate using the Egyptian royal cubit, Noah's Ark would have been 515 feet long.
In chapter 6 of Genesis, it talks about a 300 cubit long boat. And that, if you use the Egyptian cubit, is 515 feet long, or about 157 meters. And that's exactly the length of this boat-shaped object.
The Darupanar formation measures 538 feet, close enough to account for measurement variations and erosion over millennia. The width matches too, about 140 feet, consistent with 50 Egyptian royal cubits. Why would Genesis use Egyptian measurements? Moses, who wrote Genesis according to tradition, was raised in Pharaoh's court. He would have been educated in Egyptian systems. Using their cubit makes historical sense. The dimensions aren't just close, they're functionally identical when you account for ancient measurement inconsistencies and geological settling over thousands of years. This alignment troubles even skeptics. Coincidence becomes harder to argue when multiple measurements match multiple ways. The formation's shape adds to the puzzle. It's not just boat-shaped from above. The cross-section matches a ship's hull, wider in the middle, narrower at the ends, curved bottom, flat top section, Every element suggests a vessel designed for water, not a random rock formation. Ancient cubit calculations weren't precise by modern standards. Builders measured by their forearms. Variations existed. But the remarkable thing about Darupanar isn't that it matches perfectly. It's that it matches at all. How many boat-shaped formations exist that measure exactly 300 ancient cubits long, in exactly the region where ancient texts say the Ark came to rest? The location itself adds credibility. Genesis 8:4 states the Ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Not Mount Ararat specifically. The plural mountains suggest a region. Darupanar sits 18 miles south of Mount Ararat, well within the historical area known as the Ararat Range. Local tradition has preserved names like Al-Judi for nearby peaks, which appear in Islamic texts as the Ark's resting place. Historical context supports the location. Ancient civilizations in Mesopotamia, just south of this region, preserved flood narratives that predate biblical accounts. The Epic of Gilgamesh describes a catastrophic deluge and a survivor who built a massive boat. The story includes details about anchor stones used to stabilize the vessel. Near Darupanar, large standing stones exist with carved holes, consistent with ancient drogue stones used for anchoring. The formation's preservation also makes sense given the environment. Volcanic mudflows occurred regularly in this region. A vessel coming to rest here could have been quickly buried, protecting it from decay and scavengers. The volcanic material would have sealed the wood, creating an anaerobic environment where decomposition slows dramatically. Over millennia, the wood would rot, but slowly, leaving chemical traces and void spaces that radar can still detect. The debate that won't end. Not everyone believes. Many scientists remain deeply skeptical of the Noah's Ark claims at Darupanar. Their objections deserve consideration. Geologists point out that the region contains numerous unusual rock formations, folded sedimentary layers, compressed volcanic deposits. Natural forces have created thousands of strange shapes across Turkey's mountains. Why assume this one is different? David Fazold, one of the site's early investigators, eventually concluded it was natural. He wrote a paper in 1996 titled "Bogus Noah's Ark from Turkey Exposed as a Common Geologic Structure." The criticism centers on the formation's composition. The primary material is limonite, an iron-rich mineral that forms in certain geological conditions. Limonite can create unusual shapes as it crystallizes and weathers. The boat-like outline, skeptics argue, is coincidental. Humans see patterns in random formations. Clouds look like faces. Rocks look like animals. Maybe we're seeing what we want to see. Australian geologist Ian Plimer visited the site in 1994 with Fazold. They conducted drilling tests and examined core samples. Their conclusion: volcanic rock and compressed sediment. Nothing artificial, no evidence of construction. Plimer called the formation a common geological structure and dismissed claims of finding the Ark. The scientific community largely agrees with this assessment. Major geological surveys have classified Darupanar as a natural syncline, a fold in rock layers created by tectonic pressure. The boat shape, they explain, results from differential erosion. Softer rock wears away faster than harder layers, creating the outline we see today. But the recent soil and radar evidence complicates this dismissal. Natural synclines don't concentrate organic matter in geometric patterns. Erosion doesn't create right angles underground. Tectonic folding can't explain chemical signatures consistent with decomposed wood. Professor Farouk Kaya addresses the skepticism carefully. With the dating, it is impossible to claim the ship is here. We have to work for a long time to understand this. He acknowledges the limitations of current evidence, but he also insists the findings demand serious investigation, not immediate dismissal. The debate often becomes polarized. Believers see confirmation of their faith. Skeptics see wishful thinking and bad science. Both miss the more interesting question: what actually created this formation? If it's natural, why does it have so many unusual features? If it's artificial, why has no excavation definitively proven it? The answer may lie in the middle. Perhaps the formation is partly natural, but was used or modified by ancient people. Perhaps a real vessel came to rest here, and geological processes altered it over millennia. Perhaps future technology will reveal what current methods cannot. Jones and his team acknowledge uncertainty while defending their work. We're not declaring this the Ark, but the parallels are too great to discount. They've planned additional non-destructive surveys for 2025 and 2026. Core drilling, more extensive soil sampling, higher resolution radar scans. Each test aims to either confirm or disprove the hypothesis that something man-made exists beneath Durupinar. The site has been granted protected status by Turkey's government. A 5-professor board from Agri Ibrahim Seysen University oversees all research. No excavation can proceed without their approval. This ensures the site won't be destroyed by treasure hunters or damaged by careless digging. If the ARK is there, it will remain preserved for proper scientific study. What comes next? The evidence at Durupinar has created more questions than answers, but those questions drive science forward. Current research focuses on preservation rather than excavation. The formation sits in an active earth flow zone. Harsh winters bring heavy snow and ice. Spring thaws cause mudslides. Any serious digging could destroy whatever exists beneath the surface before researchers can properly document it. The team has outlined a careful plan. First, comprehensive non-destructive surveys, more radar passes from different angles, seismic testing, additional soil samples from deeper locations. These methods can reveal internal structure without disturbing the site. Once researchers understand what's below, they can design excavation strategies that protect the formation. Core drilling represents the next major step. Extracting narrow columns of material from deep within the formation will provide physical samples of whatever lies beneath. If wood exists down there, core drilling will find it. If it's just rock and sediment, that will be confirmed too. Either way, the drilling will settle key questions about the formation's composition. The challenges are significant. The site's remoteness makes bringing in heavy equipment difficult. Weather limits the research season to a few months each year. Funding remains uncertain. Turkish authorities require extensive documentation before authorizing invasive procedures. All these factors slow progress. But the potential payoff is enormous. If the Durupinar Formation contains remnants of a large ancient vessel, it would be one of history's most significant archaeological discoveries. It wouldn't necessarily prove the biblical flood narrative, but it would demonstrate that ancient peoples built massive boats capable of surviving catastrophic conditions. It would show that flood narratives found across cultures might have roots in real events. Even if the site proves entirely natural, understanding how it formed advances geological knowledge. The chemical anomalies, the unusual structure, the distinctive measurements, CNT, all these features demand explanation. Science progresses whether we confirm or refute hypotheses. The research has already spawned international collaboration. Turkish universities are working with American institutions, Christian researchers partnering with secular scientists. Believers and skeptics are examining the same evidence. This cooperation, regardless of what's discovered, represents how investigation should work. Public interest remains intense. The Noah's Ark Scans project has gained over 400,000 YouTube subscribers. News outlets worldwide cover each new finding. The story resonates because it touches something deeper than science. It connects to humanity's oldest stories, to questions about where we came from and what we survived. Jones and his team continue their work with both excitement and caution. They know extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. They know the scientific community watches skeptically. They know religious communities hope desperately. The pressure to find clear answers is immense, but the evidence doesn't always cooperate with our timelines. Rock and soil reveal their secrets slowly. Technology can only see so much. What lies beneath Durupinar may remain mysterious for years or decades more, or the next radar pass might find something undeniable. That uncertainty keeps researchers returning year after year. The mountains of eastern Turkey still guard their secrets. Beneath volcanic rock and ancient mud, something waits. Maybe it's just geology doing what geology does, creating shapes that trick our pattern-seeking minds. Maybe it's something more, evidence of a vessel that once carried life through an unimaginable catastrophe. The chemical signatures don't lie. The radar images show structures that shouldn't exist in natural rock. The measurements align too closely with ancient texts to be dismissed as pure coincidence, but proof remains elusive. The kind of proof that settles debates and rewrites history books. What we know for certain, 5,000 years ago, something happened in this region. The soil remembers. The ground-penetrating radar sees shadows of what might have been, and scientists from multiple countries continue asking the same questions that Captain Durupinar asked in 1959. What is this formation? How did it get here? Could the old stories be true? The answer lies buried beneath our feet, waiting for the technology and funding to reveal it. Until then, Darupanar remains one of archaeology's most compelling mysteries. A boat-shaped mound that refuses to give up its truth. What do you think? Is this Noah's Ark or nature's most incredible coincidence? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to follow this story as it develops, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Like this video if you found it interesting. And check out our other videos exploring ancient mysteries and archaeological discoveries. The past is full of secrets. We're here to help uncover them. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.